Hey there, ready for another deep dive? Today, we're exploring the world of holistic healing with The Art of Touch by Allison M. Fox. And let me tell you, this book is way more than just a typical massage guide.
It really is. What struck me was how Allison blends her personal story with all this practical knowledge. It's like her insights come from a really authentic place.
Totally. She doesn't just talk about chronic pain. She actually lived with it for years, trying to find relief, going through all those conventional treatments that felt like they were just putting a Band-Aid on the problem.
And I think that's something so many people can relate to, right? Feeling like traditional medicine isn't always getting to the root of the issue. It's about understanding the why behind the pain.
Exactly. So she's on this journey, and then she discovers myofascial release. And for anyone listening who's thinking, what in the world is that? It's basically a type of massage that focuses on releasing tension in the fascia.
Which, and maybe this is a bit of a refresher for some, is this connective tissue, like this big web that runs throughout your entire body.
It's like the glue holding everything together.
Exactly. And it can have a huge impact on how we move and feel.
Huge. Allison talks about how this fascia could get all tight and restricted and even cause pain in places you wouldn't expect.
It's wild. It's like our bodies are constantly sending us these signals, but if we don't know how to interpret them, we miss what's really going on. And that's where myofascial release comes in. It helps us tune into those subtle cues.
So it's a game changer for her. But here's the thing. She doesn't just stop at myofascial release. She dives into all these other modalities too, like myoskeletal alignment, lymphatic drainage. It's like she's piecing together this whole puzzle of the body's healing systems.
And that's what's so important, because it emphasizes that our bodies aren't just these separate compartments. Everything's connected, and her approach reflects that.
Okay, so we've touched upon the lymphatic system, but really, how many of us actually think about it on a daily basis?
Right. Probably not many, unless, of course, you're feeling a bit under the weather.
It's like this unsung hero quietly working away behind the scenes.
Exactly. This whole intricate system of vessels and nodes, like a drainage system, making sure everything flows smoothly and gets rid of all the waste products and toxins. And Allison makes a great point that so many of us just don't realize how important it is, but when it's out of whack.
Oh, you feel it. It's like out of sight, out of mind, right?
Yeah.
Until it's a problem. But going back to massage, what I found really interesting is how Allison emphasizes that these modalities, they're not just about relaxing, are they?
Not at all. It's about
Right.
supporting these essential systems in our bodies. And even beyond the physical benefits, there's a whole mental and emotional aspect to this work.
Absolutely. That mind-body connection, it's huge.
Huge. Allison talks about how grounding massage can be, helping people to really connect with their bodies and let go of all that pent-up tension we tend to carry around.
Because it's all connected, right? Like
Oh.
they say, stress will show up somewhere, somehow.
Exactly. And that's why I think it's so great that she explores such a variety of modalities in the book. It's like having all these different tools in a toolkit, each one offering something unique.
Okay, so let's break down those tools a bit. We talked about myofascial release, but for those of us who've never actually experienced it, what's really happening during a session?
Well, imagine a myofascial release therapist, like an artist, a sculptor even, but instead of clay, they're working with your fascia. Using gentle, sustained pressure, they're feeling for these restrictions, these kind of sticky spots where the fascia feels tight or immobile.
So not your typical Swedish massage with the oil and the Enya music.
Right, right. I mean, there might be some overlap, but myofascial release is much more about really listening to the tissues, responding to what they need. It's this fascinating dance between the therapist and the client's body, as Allison describes it.
I love that. Okay, so they're feeling for these restrictions, and then what? How do they actually get them to release?
Well, they use a combination of techniques. Sometimes it's just holding gentle pressure on a specific point. Other times it might involve slow stretching movements. The whole goal is to kind of coax the fascia back into a more fluid state, to help it unwind and lengthen.
And that can impact everything from chronic pain to posture to even how well you move in your workouts.
Exactly. Because remember, we were talking about how this fascia, it's everywhere. It's like this web that connects everything in your body. So when one part of that web is restricted, it's going to create this ripple effect.
It's true. It's all connected. And speaking of connections, she talks about trigger points too. What are those exactly, and how do they play into all of this?
So trigger points, those are like those pesky little knots you get. The ones you're always trying to dig into when your shoulders are tight.
Oh, yeah. I know them well.
They're basically these hyper-irritable spots within the muscle or fascia that can actually refer pain to other areas of the body.
Wait, really? So that pain in my shoulder could actually be coming from a trigger point in my back?
Exactly. And this is where myofascial release can be so powerful because it can directly address those trigger points, often providing relief that other therapies miss. In fact, Allison talks about some amazing case studies in her book, people finding lasting relief from migraines, back pain, even carpal tunnel, all through myofascial release.
Wow. Okay, I'm sold. I need to find a myofascial release therapist, like yesterday. But let's shift gears for a sec and talk about those other modalities we touched on earlier. We talked a little bit about the lymphatic system, but what exactly is lymphatic drainage?
So picture this, a very gentle, rhythmic massage that helps to improve the flow of lymphatic fluid throughout the body.
It's like giving your body's own cleaning crew a little boost.
Exactly. And just like myofascial release, it uses very specific light touch techniques, but this time it's about stimulating those lymph nodes and vessels, getting them to work more efficiently.
It's amazing how many of these systems are working so hard for us without us even realizing it.
Isn't it? And it just goes to show why this whole body, holistic approach is so crucial. Recognizing that interconnectedness. And speaking of interconnectedness, that brings us to another amazing modality that Allison covers, myoskeletal alignment.
Okay, yes. That one sounds intriguing. It's kind of like what chiropractors do, right?
There are definitely some similarities, but myoskeletal alignment takes a more holistic view. Instead of just focusing on the spine, it looks at the entire musculoskeletal system. So that's your bones, muscles, tendons, ligaments, the whole shebang. And it aims to identify any imbalances or misalignments that might be causing pain or dysfunction.
So it's like realigning the entire framework of the body.
Exactly. Imagine your body is like a house, right? Over time, the foundation can shift, the walls settle, and suddenly things aren't quite lining up the way they should. Myoskeletal alignment is about gently nudging those structures back into place.
So if myofascial release is like the deep tissue work and lymphatic drainage is more about gentle encouragement, then myoskeletal alignment is like the structural engineer making sure the foundation is solid.
You got it. It's about restoring balance and integrity to the entire system.
My mind is blown. It's amazing how Allison brings all these different modalities together. But I have to ask, with so many options, where do you even begin?
That's where working with a skilled practitioner is key, because they can help tailor the treatment to your unique needs. Allison really stresses the importance of that initial client consultation, taking the time to understand your history, your concerns, your goals.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach,
Yeah.
which I guess makes sense, but it's good to hear her emphasize that.
Absolutely not. It's about finding what works best for you. And what's so cool is that she often combines these different modalities to create this synergistic effect. She might start with myofascial release to target specific areas of tension, then incorporate lymphatic drainage to encourage detoxification, and then finish with myoskeletal alignment to ensure everything is structurally sound.
Wow, it's like she's creating a personalized roadmap for each person's healing journey. But it's not just about the hands-on work, is it? I mean, Allison talks a lot about how important a holistic lifestyle is in maintaining that sense of well-being long-term.
You're absolutely right.
It's like she's saying, okay, you've had this amazing massage, you feel fantastic, now how do we make it last?
Exactly. And the good news is she gives you the tools. She talks about things like simple stretches you can do at home, foods that are really supportive for your lymphatic system, staying hydrated. It's all about those small, doable changes you can weave into your everyday life.
I love that she doesn't make it sound overwhelming. It's not about turning your whole life upside down. It's about making conscious choices that really nourish your well-being.
It's about empowerment, really. Instead of feeling like your body is this thing you have no control over, you start to take an active role. You become your own advocate.
Which is huge. And it kind of reminds me of something else Allison talks about, this innate ability our bodies have to heal themselves. It's like she's saying, hey, guess what? Your body is incredible. It wants to be in balance. Let's give it the support it needs.
I love that. Because it's so true. Our bodies are capable of amazing things if we just get out of our own way, right?
Totally.
And that's what I find so inspiring about Allison's approach. She's not just trying to mask the symptoms, she's empowering people to tap into their own healing potential.
It's like she's saying, here are the tools, here's the knowledge, now go explore, find what works for you.
Exactly. Because there's no one right way to do this, right? It's about listening to your own body, trusting your intuition, and figuring out what resonates for you personally.
And that's the beauty of it all, right? It's a journey.
It is a journey of self-discovery, and every step you take, it brings you closer to that place of balance and vitality and wholeness.
Well said. And on that note, to all our listeners out there, what if you were to take just one thing from this deep dive? What's one small step, one little shift you could make today to move towards a more holistic sense of well-being? Maybe it's finally booking that massage, trying a new stretching routine, or even just taking a few minutes to breathe deeply and connect with your body. Whatever it is, I encourage you to explore, to experiment, and most importantly, to trust in your body's incredible capacity to heal. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive, everyone.
It's been a pleasure.